Well, welcome back to another episode of Fox Sports Lab NRL. We are well and truly into round 3 this week. Time is flying. Josh Morris, great to see you as always.
Yeah, good to be here, Eloise. And wasn't it a great round of footy again? A couple of upsets there. The Dolphins registered their biggest win in history. So back to the drawing board for the Dragons this week.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit of a wake up call for them after the big round 1 victory. But let's focus on round 3. And it kicks off with a grand final rematch. The Panthers taking on the Broncos. I love this matchup, but I am surprised by the odds. The Broncos sitting at $3.80, Panthers $1.26. Do you think the Broncos sit there because of the loss of Reynolds?
Yeah, I think that's obviously the key reason why he's such a big part of that team. They lose him, they bring in Jock Madden. For the Panthers, they've had the wood over them recently, obviously the grand final victory, but they've won their last 6 or 7. But the only time that the Broncos have beaten them was in round 1 last year at Bluebet. So they do know how to go down there and win. I just feel like without Adam Reynolds, they may struggle. And my big call this week is the Panthers to win this one by 13 plus. I just like the way in the second half against the Eels, their defence was back. In the first half, they had a few uncharacteristic defensive reads, but in the second half, they really put the foot down and showed why they're the team to beat this year. And Sohier Turuva, he has scored 3 doubles in his last 3 matches at Bluebet. So can he make it a fourth?
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see him in action. Of course, also the Panthers will be missing James at Fisher Harris. Let's see how they go without him out there in the squad. The other game that everyone's talking about, we always love this matchup, is the Roosters taking on the Rabbitos. Another book in this book of feuds, another chapter rather. Roosters $1.67, Rabbitohs $2.20. Obviously, off the back of some of the Rabbits' performances, they probably haven't stood up to where people expected them to by this time.
Yeah, that's it. In round 1, they got off to a big start against Manly, but then got ran down. And in round 2, they just didn't look the team that they have been of the previous years. Obviously, Lachlan Ilias has been dropped. Dean Hawkins comes in, so that's going to be a bit of a shake-up. But also, the Roosters lose Luke Keary to the HIA protocol. Sandon Smith comes in. For me, if Souths are to be a chance here, I think the likes of Damien Cook and Cody Walker really need to stand up this week. They've been a bit quiet in the first 2 rounds. I think if those 2 players can have a blinder, well, then Souths gives them every chance. But for me, Jared Warrior-Hargraves celebrating 300 games. I think the Roosters will be right up for this one. And I think they have a pretty good record at the moment. They've won their last 3 or 4 against the Bunnies, and they've got a 70% strike rate at Allianz. So I'm tipping the Roosters in this one. I like what they're going to do for Jared, celebrating him in his 300 games. Sorry, and I think they'll get the win here.
Jason Demetra also swung the axe this week, obviously looking to try and generate some change and to try and get in the winner's circle. Lachlan Ilias was dropped. A good call.
Oh, look, you got to try things earlier in the season rather than later in the season. Look, it's a tough call on the young fella, but we'll have to see. Time will tell if it works out for Souths or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the other matchup on Saturday is the Bulldogs taking on the Titans. Bulldogs $1.85, Titans $1.93. It's a flip of the coin in this one. Both sort of looking for wins to get on the board. The Bulldogs still trying to work out, I suppose, what is the best makeup of their 1 to 17. Where are you going in this one?
Yeah, this was a flip of the coin for me. The Bulldogs, their record at Belmore is woeful. They've only won 2 from 11. The Titans, they've come off the bye, and Kieran Foran comes back into their side. That's a massive inclusion for me. I think in the first round their attack was a lot clunkier than what it will be this week. So I'm leaning towards the Titans in this. But the Bulldogs, look, they were in it in the first half against the Sharkies, just faded in the second half. If they can put together 2 halves of football at Belmore, they will be hard to beat. But like I said, it's a tight one here, and I've tipped the Titans in this one.
Hopefully they will, well, for Bulldogs fans, let's hope they can't upset them at Belmore because they certainly want to get a win at their home ground. And lastly, our big game that we've identified this weekend is the Eels, $1.83, taking on the Seagulls at Combank Stadium at $1.98. I'm a bit surprised by these odds. I thought the Seagulls look like they're in a bit better form and sort of on a bit of a roll to start the season. I kind of like the Seagulls here.
Yeah, I like the Seagulls too. I've really been impressed with the way they've played. I
Mm.
thought, they grinded out a win against the Roosters on the weekend, and they looked very sharp against South in round one. Um, it's the first time they've started 2-0 since 2013, I believe. So, oh look, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Eels they were right in it for the first half. They got themselves back into a position against Penrith, but in the second half they couldn't go on with it. They do have a very good record at Combank, though, winning their last 8 out of their last 10 and 3 of their past 4 against Manly. But I just really like the look of Manly at the moment. I really like Luke Brooks in the
Mm.
side and how he's been able to be freed up, and that running game of his that we have spoken about for so long but haven't seen much of is now at the forefront of his game thanks to Daly Cherry Evans.
So does this become a little bit of a matchup in the halves, I suppose, with Daly Cherry Evans, Luke Brooks taking on Dylan Brown and also to Mitch Moses? Who comes out on top?
Yeah, look, it is. It's a great clash, and yeah, I just think that that Manly they're full of confidence at the moment. A new look side. They do have Blaze Talangi making his debut for the Eels, so that'll be interesting to see how he goes. And Raymond Viaga is in for Tommy Talau. So there's a couple of changes there. But
Mm.
I really like the look of Manly in this one, but I think it's going to be a very, very close game.
Okay, well, let's wait for that one. Can't wait. Let's go through the rest of the round for the other four matches that we've got coming up this weekend. The Warriors taking on the Raiders.
Yeah, look, I think the Warriors in this one, they've obviously started 0-2, but um,
Mm.
they were very, very unlucky
Yeah.
last week against Melbourne. It was just a stroke of class there from Xavier Coates, a freakish try that got him home. The Canberra Raiders, they have looked good here. I think Zach Hosking
Mm.
has made a great start to the season. He's been a wonderful addition for them, but they have Wade Egan coming back. So I think he's a big in for the Warriors, and I think they're going to get their first win of the season here against the Raiders.
Dragons taking on the Cowboys. Obviously, the Dragons are coming back off that humiliating loss last week up against the Cowboys. What do you like about this?
Yeah, you're always wary of a side that's been towed up the week before, and
Mm.
for the Cowboys, they just snuck home against the Knights in that one. I'm tipping the Dragons to bounce back here.
Wow.
Obviously, they had a really bad week, and I'm sure Flano will have got stuck right into them, and he's also said they're playing for their jerseys. Jesse Marski, he makes his debut for the Dragons. Now it's a great story. I played alongside his twin brother Benny at the Roosters. So that's a great debut for that family, and I'm looking forward to watching how he goes. But yeah, I'm tipping the Dragons in this one.
That's a big upset and a big call. Let's see if you're right, Josh. Up next, the Tigers taking on the Sharks. Tigers, was their first hit out last week. This is their second game for 2024, taking on Sharks, who've looked pretty good.
Yeah, the Sharkies have looked good to start the season. Obviously, a big win over there in New Zealand in round one, and then
Mm.
they were in a bit of a battle there, and then in the second half against the Doggies, they ran away with it. For the Tigers, we got our first look at them. Obviously, they were down 14-0 and managed to get back into the game, but I just feel like at no stage they looked like they were going to win that match. Justin Olam comes back in this week.
That's a
We've
big
seen
inclusion.
it's a massive inclusion. So he'll give them a boost. Aiden Caesar's starting. Jaden Sullivan goes back to the bench. Britton Nakora is out, obviously,
Mm.
a 1 week suspension for that shoulder charge on Villamy Kickout. And we see Jack Williams come into the back row. Look, I think the Sharks should win this one pretty comfortably, although it is at Leichhardt, but I can't see them losing this one, and I've tipped them 13 plus.
Oh, big call. Okay, lastly, to round off round three, Knights hosting the Storm. We know that Adam O'Brien has swung the axe as well, and he's dropped Jackson Hastings. The right call. Does it get them a victory?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's on the back of the Storm losing Jerome Hughes. Sorry, the Tyron Wishart moves into the
Yeah.
halves. I think the Knights they were disappointing in round one at home, and their fans deserve a victory, and I think the Knights players will give it to them this week. Also for the Knights, Jaden Brayley is back from his ACL reconstruction. So that's a big in for the Knights, and he'll want to get his season off to a win. So I've tipped the Knights in that one.
Also, too, Jack Cogger comes into the side. Looking forward to seeing him in Knights colours off the back of what he did with Penrith in 2023. So that's all very exciting for round 3. Josh Morris, thanks as always, and talk next week.
Thanks, Eloise.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.